just knowing that you're maybe more than that. You're not just that one fragment of your identity. You are literally the universe experiencing itself through the little corporeal form of this little human creature on this strange and wonderful planet.
Follow me into the forest, come in, don't be afraid. My bones cast shadows.
So we are back outside. It's early in the morning and it's officially 2021 today. I can't believe what's happened this year, but I'm really thankful that at least one of the things that happened this year was that a lot of us were forced to go inside of ourselves. Since we can't go out and do things, we were all forced to kind of go and look at some of the things that maybe we were uncomfortable with in ourselves. It's forced us to get closer in touch with our own energies and our own spirits. Sorry, it's really early. I just got out of bed and I'm like... So the idea with these videos is that I don't have a topic necessarily when I come out here. I come out in the morning. I just get connected with the woods, and I hope that something comes to mind, because you can feel the mind slowly clogging away, and I think I'll go and talk about whatever my soul and my mind agree is worth talking about, which might not be very interesting, so we shall see. So I don't know if any of you feel this way, but I think for a lot of people, 2020 was a massive year of releasing things that are no longer serving them and building a foundation for that which will help them in whatever relationship, creative endeavor, or spiritual journey they have in mind. So 2020, if you're into numerology, 2 and 2 gives you 4. This year was about building a foundation, a structure. And now that we've done that, or hopefully many of us have done that, 2021 will be about building our kingdoms, our creative, multidimensional kingdoms. We can soar now. Now is the time to make the change that 2020 was setting the structure, the intense building foundation for. So it's only January, and so we're not getting very much sun up here in Canada. But it's hard to believe that you get double the sunlight on the longest day. It's crazy. So I'm just gonna walk through this pathless woods. Hopefully I don't get a branch in my eye. Ooh. I've got a lot of creative endeavors that I want to get going on. There's books that I want to write. There's YouTube channels I want to have. I want to get music out there. I've got an Etsy shop. Like, it's insane the amount of things that this creature wants to accomplish. And I'm not sure if you have the same feeling. Like, if there's a bunch of things in your mind that you want to do. Maybe you want to be a photographer. Maybe you want to travel, which right now is very challenging to travel because of the virus. We can't go anywhere. Lockdown. Luckily I live out here, which I'm blessed. I thank the universe every day for that experience. But it's unfortunate that more people don't have that, to lock somebody away, you know, and keep them trapped in 4 walls. That's a prison in a way. So for all of you who are right now in an apartment or in a city where you can't get out much, now is the time to focus again on your inner world. This is your time to help and heal yourself. So it's very important during this time, I think, to be meditating. Now, there's lots of different meditation techniques, lots of different breathing techniques that you can use. But I think it's important to develop a routine, kind of, because, sorry, I'm just gonna look for my dog. Winnie! She's white like the snow, so it's kind of hard to see her. Oh, there she is. Say hi, Winnie. There. She's one year old and she's a little Jack Russell. Yeah, so developing a routine or a ritual for your own healing, whether it's involving diet, whether it's involving an exercise regime, or whether it involves, working out your brain or your creative spirit, it's important to have that kind of those habits set up, because it's hard to have an idea in your mind and be like, oh, I really want to write my novel, or I really want to, start an Etsy shop with my creations. But if you don't have a plan and a ritual set of habits set up, that's going to be really hard. So you have to start small. You can't just start right away like, oh, I want to write a book, I want to have an Etsy shop, and I want to have all these YouTube channels, and I want to be healthy, and I want to be spiritually connected. That's a lot to do at once. It's taken me years. Oh, I want to show you guys this really magical beech tree here. Beech trees are just incredible here. Beechwoods are amazing because they have this kind of smooth bark. You'll see it in movies where people write their initials into them. But yeah, they're really smooth, almost like a long neck. Brontosaurus. Yeah, and beech tree nuts actually are some of the most fatty, protein-filled, edible wild plants that you can get out in the woods. It's just that beech trees don't produce nuts every year, so it's kind of you're kind of unsure when they're gonna produce, and so it's not great to rely on it. But the deer and all kinds of wildlife live off of beech nuts. So beech trees are a huge, they're vitally important to the ecosystem here. Okay, so I'm talking about rituals. And the reason why I'm talking about that, I think it's good to get into this, is that I feel, and you may feel this way too, we are in human bodies. This may sound kind of out there for some people, but, and it would have for me when I was younger, but we're all on our spiritual path at different levels, and I think it's important that none of us judge each other for where we currently are. There's no fast tracking this. Every part of your present moment is a part of your spiritual transformation. Judging yourself, there's not a point in judging yourself. You should be proud of yourself for being where you are right now, okay? Everybody should be. Pat on the back, everyone. Seriously. It's not easy living in this third dimension. It's hard. Duality. But you get used to it, right? So we, as in these flesh bodies on planet Earth, we start to identify with ourselves a lot. We start to, like I said before, identify with being a particular name or a particular occupation or a particular family, depending on how respected or known your family is. If you're a celebrity, you're known for doing whatever it is that you did to become famous. So regardless of what that is, your flesh body is not who you are. Like your name, like your thoughts. They're fragments of, wow, that's a big tree. Sorry, guys, I'm just like looking here. Look at that. That just broke off. Holy smokes. If that had landed on a person, they would be dead. So yeah, so they're fragments of what you are. And I like to see, this is interesting. My dad gave me this little anecdote. He said that a human body, is kind of like a time machine. It gets you from now into the future. It's a time machine that goes into the future, not the past, really. And so if you want to be able to make it to the future, then you need to kind of take care of it, right? So like a boat or a car, you need to go to a shop to get fixed up so that you can last, right? I have a van from 2004, I think, and she runs pretty well because we've been maintaining her. But if you let it go, you're not going to have your vehicle. And our bodies are our vehicles. That's what we are basically driving around in. So, you know, you've got to oil up your gears. You've got to replace certain things potentially. You've got to download certain drivers. So I often feel like when I'm sick or something, or when I have a headache, that's me, you know, installing something into my system. Or it's me, you know, you're fighting a virus, kind of like a computer would, you know. You have to be connected with inside yourself to really be able to know what you're dealing with. So whether it's your body, which your body and your mind, everything is really connected. And that's the same with machinery too. I'd like to see the body kind of like machinery, because we are, in fact, if you've looked at anything of what's going on in Boston Dynamics, the robots that they've been creating, they're starting to become more human-like. And more people will start to see that human beings, we are machines, just organic machines. So if you put the wrong kind of fuel into your car, if you put the wrong type of electricity output into, say, a computer or some kind of appliance, it's not going to work right? So with food, you want to be putting the right kinds of food into you. Now, we're not taught as young children what we should be eating. You know, our parents might say, oh no, you shouldn't eat that junk food. But they don't necessarily explain why. They say it's unhealthy, but we don't know why it's unhealthy. We just start to develop that kind of like, ooh, chips and chocolate and pop. Ooh, I'm not supposed to have that. And then you develop this kind of like, ooh, I'm naughty if I eat that. And it's kind of exciting. You know, you're rebellious as a child to eat that kind of stuff. So in a way, they create this kind of artificial scarcity, like, oh, you're not supposed to have it. But whereas it might be a good idea to have the junk food, but also have other, you know, healthier things, so that the kid doesn't see the junk food as some sort of like pot of gold hidden somewhere. It's just like, oh, I'm allowed to have this chocolate whenever I want. And then when they see that, they're kind of like, oh, maybe I don't want this because it's accessible. But maybe they would. It's hard to know. So we live in basically a time machine. And when you see it like that, you start to think, ooh, I kind of care about my little machine that I'm in. You know, some of us carry more about our vehicles or our devices than we care about our own health. When you're feeling kind of uneasy inside of yourself, you want to consume alcohol, you want to consume drugs to kind of get your mind off of that particular thing that's bringing you down, whether it's some sort of traumatic instance, whether it's a bad habit that you have, a negative thought pattern, whoa, whether it's an assignment or something you have to do, whether it's going to work every day and you're just sick and tired of it, like you just can't do it anymore, you're burnt out, you're tired. You need to have something in life that fulfills you. Human beings, there's a hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We were taught it in school. You know, once you have food, shelter, water, then you can go and connect with the next thing, which might be socializing, friendship. If you don't have the basic needs, you can't go on to the next ones, right? You can't look for spiritual enlightenment necessarily if you have no water. It's important first to deal with your basic needs. So making sure that you have those food, water, and shelter, obviously, for your little time machine. Then you need to kind of connect with yourself and think, what do I really want next? Do I want what I have been programmed to want? And it's confusing because our minds have literally been programmed since we were children. And as children, our brains were sponges, right? So they were absorbing all that information. And we absorb everything. We absorb everything that our parents say to us. We absorb everything that our teachers tell us. We absorb all of the things that our friends say to us about who we are. If your friend says that you're really smart when you're little, that's something that you're going to cling to. That's something that you're going to build your foundation for who you are. Your sense of self-worth and self-esteem, they're built from all of these experiences that you have when you're really young. So that's why it's really concerning about the media, because television and movies are a form of propaganda, and they are constantly brainwashing everyone. And there's all these different forces at work. Certain forces want your kid to go into environmentalism. Certain forces want your kid to be a consumerist. Sometimes those are both one and the same. Maybe they want your child to follow some sort of religious doctrine. Maybe they want you to enter the workforce. You know, you have shows like Bob the Builder for little boys, showing that construction might be what they're interested in. We have Disney. Wow. If that isn't some serious brainwashing. Teaching us little girls that we all want to be princesses. But it's interesting because in Disney, the princess is usually somehow confined in some way. She wants to escape from her current reality, and she finds a way to do that. And in the past, it was that she wanted to potentially find a prince, and he could save her. But lately, with Moana and Frozen and these films, it's propagating the idea that women can handle things themselves and that they don't need a guy, which is great. But it's just interesting that our foundations for who and what we are literally created from these films. And it's becoming, now I was born in the 90s, so I was raised off of movies. I didn't even have cable, so movies were the biggest thing for me. And that made me believe kind of in magic and fantasy, because I lived so intensely off these films. I didn't really have a lot of friends, and so that was my reality, was these movies. I didn't believe that they were fake, and I maybe still don't. I mean, I know the movies are fake, but the ideas are real. So when I was little, like around 10 or 11, my favorite movie was Lord of the Rings, books, Harry Potter, and then Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and oh my god, that was one of the cornerstones. So those three series were the cornerstones of my foundation, really. Not to mention the earlier fantasy world, like the Dark Crystal and Fern Gully. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean kind of showed me that freedom is possible. And freedom, Jack always said that the Black Pearl was freedom in a way. And so I just assumed that a sailboat would mean freedom to me. And it kind of did. Like it shook my foundations in a way. And it made me realize that freedom isn't necessarily found by by trying to run away. So I was trying to escape from my present reality. And it showed me a new world, which was great. But that wasn't necessarily the world I was trying to get to. It was just trying to show me that I would have done anything to escape the world that I was living in. The world of living in a city and then in a town and having that kind of 8 hours a day shift where when you get home you're so tired that you can't even do anything. So that is, it's insane when you think about everyone that you know, their entire foundations have been built when they are children. So if they went through really traumatic experiences, maybe their parents were divorced, maybe something else happened, maybe they lost someone they loved, maybe there was some sort of sexual trauma, that really solidifies that kind of, I'm gonna say that they're like stones in a way, and those stones are used to build the foundation. And if you want to remove those stones later, if you're trying to heal a trauma and you want to get that stone, that memory, that pain out of there, your entire structure might fall to pieces. The entire structure of who you think you are might fall apart. And you have to kind of be willing to let that happen. And it's a very frightening process. Some call it the dark night of the soul, where you go through this entire immense just transformation from one identity to just realizing that you are no particular identity, that identity that you thought you were is just a construction created by the world around you, so your friends and whatnot. And when you're online and on social media, you are constantly trying to solidify that identity. You're trying to suggest to everyone that you are a strong, outgoing person who loves like being at the beach or traveling around the world or something. That's you. You are an adventurer. You're strong. Or maybe you're a really great artist and you're propagating the idea that that's what you're great at, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just knowing that you're maybe more than that. You're not just that one fragment of your identity. You are literally the universe experiencing itself through the little corporeal form of this little human creature on this strange and wonderful planet. Right? We've been taught how many limitations there are. You know, we've been taught that, when we were younger, we were taught that you had to, like, what did you want to be when you grew up? You had to think about that. What did you want to be? Like, you can't just do things. You are those things. It's interesting to think that you are a doctor. Well, I work at the hospital, but that's not what you are. Like, you associate with being a doctor, and that creates this foundation, again, a really structurally intense one, that you are a caregiver, you're helpful, you're intelligent, you're in the service to others. So you have, a lot of the time, I feel like a lot of doctors and whatnot, who are incredible, by the way. I don't know how they do what they do. They're miracle workers, honestly. I don't know how. But I feel like a lot of them maybe lose their sense of identity in that structure of constantly being there for others, And so what they do is they sometimes get this ego trip to feel like they are somehow above others. And I know that a lot of spiritual individuals who are looking to like become spiritually enlightened, a lot of them, myself included, have gone through time where they feel somehow superior, as if I am at a higher stage of my evolution and I am therefore somehow above you or superior to you. And that's something that a lot of us have to work through, that no one is superior to another person. We are literally experiencing this reality together, and we are all at different stages of our evolution. And it's a beautiful process. It can be ugly, but it's kind of like a flower unfolding, you know? It plants its seed, it blooms out of that soil, and then it spreads its seeds and it dies. Very much like that. We're spreading our ideas to everybody constantly. We're growing every day. Whoa, I am literally sinking into the snow. Up to my knees. Deep. So, whoa. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that you can reorganize your foundation. I think that 2020 was a year for that kind of crumbling. It made all of us realize that our foundations that we had built for ourselves, our safety nets and everything, were not necessarily trustworthy, because everything is changing so rapidly now. So a job that you might have felt safe in, that you're like, oh, I have this job, I don't need to worry. You maybe lost your job this year because of the pandemic, and you can't rely on that kind of system anymore. The societal structure is kind of crumbling. If you'll notice, all of the shops are closing down. They can't afford to stay open during this kind of pandemic. And it's going to allow the bigger stores to stay open. It's going to allow the bigger companies. That's what's happening. All of the little guys are pittering out or being absorbed and becoming part of the larger organism. And that's kind of what's happening online too. Like, you know, we have Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, and all of these are kind of coming together, you know? Facebook and Instagram may have been separate, but now Instagram is absorbed by Facebook, right? That's what's happening in the material world as well. So this is the year, 2020 was the year where you saw everything crumble, and then you had to start rebuilding from the rubble, basically. And 2021 will be where you kind of solidify this new structure that you've built for yourself, and then start to branch out from there. So I think it's a really good idea nowadays, with the confusion, that we start to try to build a variety of different structures, because one of them might fall down, but you might have a bunch of other ones. So maybe you're an artist, you know, get an Etsy shop, try and start some maybe online blogging, try to start learning different skills. Just start learning as many skills as you can in your off time, because you don't know what skills the world's going to need soon. We can tell that with automation, there's not going to be a lot of service jobs anymore. So prepare to be removed from that. Prepare to be doing other skills that maybe AIs won't be able to do. For now, they might not be able to, like, it's scary how much AIs are able to do certain things. Like, they're already able to create music and write stories, but they're not there yet. So we still have that emotion and feeling behind the creativity, which they may not have. So all I can say right now is if you get a chance to find a place to close your eyes and just relax and kind of connect with that consciousness inside of you, that peace, put on some quiet music, turn on an online or a guided meditation, and just connect with that. Feel the tingles throughout your body. Feel the energy inside of you. It's incredible how much energy we have inside of our bodies that's constantly being given to us and we're constantly using up. But you have to regenerate. You have to regenerate. Otherwise, you won't have that energy. You'll just be burnt out. And I know how easy it is to get burned out with all the things that are going on in the world and in your own life. And so you have to find that peace. You have to get that energy back if you want to live that life that you dream of. So hopefully in the next video we can talk about how to manifest and create the life that you want. I can tell you that it works. I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that manifestation works and rebuilding your structure works. You can do it. You really can. I know this because I've had a lot of experiences. I had post-traumatic stress disorder and I came out of that. I had anxiety and I've fairly well come out of that. My spine was crushed by a tree and I've healed from that within the past year. So it's all possible, and I want to be here to help you through that and guide you through it and let you know that you literally can create the life of your dreams. Okay, guys? So I believe in you. I do. No matter what dark hole you're in right now, I know that you can get out of it because I've gotten out of it, and I am you and you are me. So